Season 3 Episode 11 just flipped everything we thought we knew about Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah, and trust me, nobody is walking out of this one the same. Because what happens in this episode doesn't just change the summer, it changes every single heart tied to it. The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 Episode 11 doesn't just pick up the story, it cracks it wide open. Like the universe finally stopped protecting these characters and decided to show them who they really are without all the distractions. For the first time, Belly isn't the girl who's simply being pulled between Conrad and Jeremiah, no. In this episode, she becomes the girl who finally realizes that running away from her past doesn't erase it. It only makes it return with more force, more fear, and more truth. And honestly, you can feel that from the very first scene. Like there is this quiet storm building around her that she's pretending not to feel. But it's there. It's always been there. Belly starts this episode looking stronger than ever, walking through life as if she has everything under control. As if the last few years didn't tear her heart in half. But underneath that calm smile, you can sense that same ache she carried all the way from Cousins. The one she tried to bury when she left, the one she thought Paris, time, and distance would fix. And yet, here it is again, breathing down her neck. Because the truth is, you can leave the boy. You can leave the beach. But you cannot leave the version of yourself that loved them both. And Belly is slowly realizing that. What makes this episode so painfully beautiful is how it strips her down emotionally. We see her trying to rebuild her life, trying to be the girl who chooses herself. But you can literally see the weight of every memory pulling her back. It hits her in small ways, a voicemail from home she doesn't return, a photo she scrolls past too quickly, the sound of Jeremiah's laugh replaying in her mind when she least expects it. And then there's Conrad. Always Conrad. The one she claims she's done with. Yet the only boy who can ruin her entire day with a single thought. It's almost unfair how much space he still takes up inside her. But here's the thing, Belly isn't the only one crumbling quietly. Jeremiah, the boy who always pretended to bounce back faster than he actually healed, finally hits that point where distraction stops working. And you can feel that shift in him like a physical break. He's still trying to be the fun one, the open one, the boy who never lets his heartbreak show. But in episode 11, he cracks. Not dramatically, not loudly, but in the tiny moments that matter. The way he looks at his phone when Belly doesn't text back. The way his whole face changes whenever someone mentions her name. The way he tries to act like the past is behind him when everyone can see he's still stuck in it. And then there's Conrad, God, this boy. There has never been a character who carries love like a bruise the way he does. Everything hurts him. Yet he still holds it together like he's afraid someone might notice the cracks. Episode 11 shows a version of Conrad who knows he messed up. Who knows he broke things he can never fix. But still can't stop loving Belly with everything he has left. It's obvious in the way he watches her from afar, the way he hesitates before speaking, the way he pretends he's fine even though anyone who truly knows him can see he's falling apart. And the most heartbreaking thing is, Belly senses it. She always does. No matter how far she runs, no matter who she tries to love next, Conrad is that constant. That memory. That soft spot. That fear, that maybe. That what if. And in this episode, those feelings hit her so hard she can't ignore them anymore. Episode 11 becomes that moment where all three of them, Belly, Jeremiah, and Conrad, finally stop pretending. Where the truth they've been avoiding becomes louder than all the excuses they've built. Where the future they thought they wanted collides with the past they swore they left behind. And watching that unfold, it's messy, painful, emotional, nostalgic. And honestly just exactly what this love triangle needed. Episode 11 wastes absolutely no time reminding us that healing is never a straight line. Especially when your entire heart is still tangled between two brothers, who once worshipped the ground you walked on. And the moment Belly steps back into the familiar air of everything she once escaped, you can literally feel the past rising up to meet her like it's been waiting quietly in the dark. She doesn't want to look back, she doesn't want to reopen wounds. But the universe does not care what she wants, not in this episode. Because the second she realizes both Jeremiah and Conrad are still orbiting her life, in their own painful ways, all that confidence she built starts to shake. Not collapse, just tremble. And honestly, that trembling is louder than anything she says out loud. Jeremiah is the first one the episode pulls into focus. And the boy is trying so hard to convince the world he's fine. Smiling too big, laughing too loud. Pretending he's moved on with this new version of himself who just wants to live freely. And forget the past. But there's this moment, this tiny moment, where someone casually mentions Belly's name. And he freezes for just half a second. Not long, just long enough. And that half second tells you everything. The breakup, the rejection, the betrayal, the heartbreak. None of it ever left him. He's carrying it like a silent bruise he keeps pressing on, hoping one day it stops hurting. But deep down, he knows it won't, not until he faces her again. Not until he gets answers he's terrified to hear. And then we have Conrad, the one who always loves quietly, painfully, stubbornly. This episode shows him in a way that almost hurts to watch. He's the boy who thinks too much before he speaks. The boy who writes his feelings in letters he's too scared to send. And the crazy part? He still tries to hide it all. He still tries to pretend he's over Belly as if anyone in the world would ever believe that. You can see it in his eyes when her name comes up. In the way he stiffens slightly like someone pulled a string inside him. That's how deep she runs in him. She's not a memory. She's a wound. And Belly? She feels all of this energy around her like a storm she didn't ask for. The moment she sees Conrad again, her whole body betrays her, her breath catches, her eyes soften. Her guard slips. Just a little. And then she sees Jeremiah's anger, that quiet hurt in his voice. And suddenly she feels like she's back inside that same triangle she swore she escaped. Except this time, she's older, she's wiser, and she knows she can't run anymore. Not from the pain she caused. Not from the love still haunting her. Not from the brothers she accidentally broke. What makes episode 11 so gripping is that the tension isn't loud, it's soft, quiet, but unbearably heavy. It's in the pauses, the glances, the almost conversations. The things they want to say but don't know how. The things they should say but are too scared to admit. And every time Belly moves through a room, you can feel the shift. Jeremiah stiffens. Conrad looks away. And Belly feels both of their reactions like weights pulling her into different directions. She no longer knows how to choose between, and honestly, this time, it's not about who she loves more. This time, it's about who she is becoming. Because Belly is finally facing the truth that she can't fix the past. She can't undo the choices she made, and she can't keep pretending that her heart is simple. It's not. It never was. Her heart is layered, messy, complicated, and painfully human, and this episode forces her to accept that for the first time. Meanwhile, Jeremiah reaches a breaking point. He can't keep pretending he's okay seeing her again. He can't keep pretending that he's healed. And when he finally admits that he's still hurt, still angry, still in love, it's raw. It's honest. It's everything he's been avoiding. And for a moment, you almost forget the pain he caused, the mistakes he made. Because in that moment, he's not Jeremiah the playful brother. He's Jeremiah the broken one. Conrad, on the other hand, stays quiet, too quiet. Because he knows the second he speaks, everything will fall apart again. But that silence, that tension in his shoulders, the way he watches Belly like she's both his greatest love and his greatest lesson, it speaks louder than any confession he could ever make. Episode 11 shifts into a completely different gear. When all three of them, Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah, are finally forced into the same emotional space without any escape routes. And you can literally feel the air tighten around them, like the universe is done letting them dodge the truth. This is the point where their past, their heartbreak, and their unfinished conversations start pressing down on them at the same time. And what's wild is that no one says anything at first, they just exist in the same room, trying to pretend their chests aren't burning. It's the type of silence that feels louder than yelling. The type of silence you only get when three hearts are breaking for completely different reasons. Belly tries to play it cool, she really does, but the second she looks at Conrad, that old version of her flickers alive again. The girl who wanted him since she was 12. The girl who believed he was her first love, her destiny, her everything. And you can see her trying to bury that feeling under this new mature version of herself. She's trying so hard to build. But no matter how deep she tries to shove it down, that spark is still there. It never left. It never even dimmed. And honestly, that scares her more than anything. Because she knows what Conrad can do to her heart. And she knows she's not ready to fall apart again. Jeremiah, on the other hand, is not even trying to hide how he feels anymore. The moment Belly walks into that space, the pain hits him like a wave he's been avoiding for months. And the worst part? He still looks at her like she's the sun. Even after everything. Even after the breakup. Even after every reason he had to walk away. And that's what makes his hurt so tragic. He loves with his whole messy, reckless, open heart. But he never gets the same kind of love back. Not from her. Not fully. Not the way she loved Conrad. And he knows it. You can see it in the way his smile fades whenever she glances at Conrad. You can see it in the way his shoulders tense, like he already knows he's losing again. But it's Conrad who truly breaks the moment. Because when he finally looks at Belly, he doesn't hide anything. Not the longing. Not the regret. Not the softness. Not the ache. He just lets himself feel it like he's too tired to pretend anymore. And that's the moment Belly's entire world freezes. Because this is the version of Conrad she always waited for, the brave one, the honest one. The one who loves her without burying it under fear or guilt. And in that split second, she remembers exactly why she never stopped loving him. But here's the painful twist. Her feelings don't magically erase the damage. They don't erase the betrayal. They don't erase Jeremiah's heartbreak. And they definitely don't erase the fact that choosing Conrad again would mean reopening a wound they all worked so hard to close. Episode 11 makes that conflict so raw, so real, that you can feel Belly's confusion like it's your own. Because she's caught between who she used to be, who she wants to be, and who she's terrified of becoming again, and that's when everything explodes, not with yelling, not with drama, but with the truth finally slipping out. Jeremiah calls her out, not out of anger, but out of desperation. He tells her he's tired of pretending he's okay, tired of acting like he wasn't shattered by the way everything ended. And for the first time, Belly sees the pain she caused him without hiding behind excuses. She sees the boy who loved her so deeply it nearly destroyed him. And it hits her so hard she almost breaks on the spot. Conrad stays quiet through all of this. But it's not a cold silence. It's a guilty one. A heavy one. Because he knows he played a part in destroying the one good thing Jeremiah ever had. He knows he hurt his brother. He knows he destroyed the trust between them. And you can see him sinking under that guilt. Even as he still loves Belly with everything inside him. That's what makes him so painfully human. He loves deeply, but his love always comes with a price. And the worst part? Belly feels responsible for all of it. She feels like she's the reason these two brothers who once shared everything now stand on opposite sides of a broken love story. And even though that's not entirely fair, she carries that guilt like a weight pressing against her ribcage. Episode 11 becomes this emotional battlefield where no one wins, not yet. Because they're all telling the truth, finally, but the truth only makes everything hurt more. Jeremiah wants closure. Conrad wants forgiveness. Belly wants clarity. But none of them know how to get what they want without hurting someone else. And that's the tragedy of this entire love triangle. The love is real. But the timing is always wrong. By the end of this section of the episode, you know one thing for sure, the choice Belly makes next won't just decide her future. It will reshape the Fisher brothers forever. And the scariest part is, neither of them are ready for her answer. Episode 11 takes a sharp turn the moment Belly finally realizes that silence isn't protecting anyone anymore, not her, not Jeremiah, and definitely not Conrad. And what makes this part so intense is that she stops running from the truth, even though the truth is the very thing she's been terrified to face since the moment everything fell apart. Because this is where the episode forces her to see what her heart has been trying to tell her for years. Not the surface feelings, not the temporary comfort, but the real thing. The kind of love that follows you everywhere, even when you try to walk away from it. Belly steps outside for a moment, trying to breathe, trying to calm the storm that's swirling inside her chest. But peace refuses to come, because everything she's been pushing down, the guilt, the regret, the longing, the confusion, all of it rises at once. She can feel Jeremiah's heartbreak in the way his voice cracked. She can feel Conrad's love in the way he couldn't even look at her without his whole face softening. And she can feel her own heart pulling her into opposite directions, begging her to make a choice that will break someone no matter what she decides. But then something happens, one of those quiet moments that feels louder than any confrontation. Conrad follows her outside. Not aggressively, not dramatically, just with that soft, careful way he moves whenever it comes to her. And when Belly turns to look at him, you can see her walls crumble just a little. Because Conrad isn't pretending anymore. He's not wearing the cold mask he used to hide behind. He's not closing himself off. He's just standing there, looking at her with every piece of love he's been too scared to show. And that's what makes her whole world stop. He tries to speak, but his voice catches. And in that tiny moment of hesitation, Belly sees everything, the nights he stayed awake thinking about her, the letters he never sent, the regret he kept carrying alone. She sees the boy who never stopped loving her, even when he convinced himself he had to let her go. And that realization hits her so hard that she almost forgets how to breathe. Because this is the version of Conrad she always wished she had before everything fell apart. The honest version. The brave version. The one who's finally ready to fight for her instead of walking away. But before he can say anything, Jeremiah appears and the tension snaps like a rubber band pulled too tight. He doesn't yell. He doesn't push. He doesn't explode. Instead, he looks at them with this expression that is so full of hurt and betrayal that the entire energy changes instantly. Because Jeremiah knows exactly what's happening. He can see the truth in their eyes. He can feel the shift he's been afraid of since the day Belly walked away. And he can't bring himself to pretend anymore for the first time. Jeremiah tells Conrad the thing he's never dared to say out loud, that he feels like Conrad always gets everything first, every moment. Every chance, every piece of Belly's heart, even when he doesn't deserve it. And hearing that is like watching years of unspoken resentment finally surface. Because Jeremiah isn't crying about losing Belly. He's crying about losing the version of Conrad who used to be his best friend. The brother he trusted, the boy who promised they'd never let anything come between them. And now, here they are, choosing between love and loyalty. And losing pieces of themselves in the process. Belly watches them with this ache growing in her chest. Because she never wanted this. She never wanted to be the reason two brothers who once shared everything now stand on opposite sides of a war neither of them asked for. And it's in that moment Belly understands something she didn't want to accept. No matter who she chooses, she will break someone she loves. And that truth is almost unbearable, but episode 11 doesn't stop there. It pushes even harder. Because Conrad, with that quiet, steady voice of his, apologizes to Jeremiah. Truly apologizes for the first time. Not for loving Belly because he knows he cannot change that. But for hurting him. For abandoning him. For letting things fall apart. And the look on Jeremiah's face when he hears that apology is heartbreaking. Because it's the thing he's wanted for years, yet hearing it only makes the pain heavier. The entire scene becomes this emotional hurricane where all three of them are stripped bare. No lies, no pretending. No excuses. Just the raw truth of who they are and what they feel. And the intensity of it is so overwhelming that Belly has no choice but to walk away. Before she completely breaks down in front of them, and as she walks off, you can feel the shift, the painful, terrifying shift that the next decisions they make will change everything forever. But listen, as that clock creeps toward midnight, this whole thing flips from just a warning to a straight-up wake-up call. 'Cause the real twist ain't the signs in the sky, or the strange silence people keep feeling around them. It's the way everybody suddenly starts realizing they're not as ready as they've been telling themselves. And that's the part that hits the deepest. That moment when you feel like something is coming. Something big, something you can't outrun, something that don't care about excuses or delays. And all you can do is check your own heart and ask, am I really prepared? Or just pretending? And that's why these three rapture events ain't meant to scare you. They meant to shake you awake. 'Cause when midnight hits, it don't matter who got the loudest opinion, who got the best logic, who laughed the hardest. What matters is who kept their soul ready. And I'm telling you right now, if you watching this, it's not by accident. It's because somebody, somewhere, needed this exact message in this exact moment. That pull you feel? That pressure in your chest? That's not fear. That's alignment. That's your spirit knowing it's time. So before you scroll, before you forget everything you heard tonight, let me leave you with this one truth. Don't wait for signs to believe. Believe so you can understand the signs. 'Cause the midnight hour, it exposes everybody. Stay aware. Stay grounded. Stay prepared. And if you want more breakdowns, more hidden details, more truths that everybody else is too afraid to touch, then make sure you like the video, subscribe to Teleboss 2, and turn that bell on so you don't miss what's coming next. 'Cause trust me, after tonight, you're gonna want to be ahead of the next message, not behind it.